Hello again, everyone. This is Dr. Medi, and I am jotting down a few things for you via video, of course, to make you aware of some things that we're going to cover during Chapter 11, which is on communication. Just wanted to give you a heads up that I am in the process of getting emails, and I've said this before, about your research paper. Please continue to send me emails. What I'm doing is replying back, discussing the narrowing of the topic or relating it to the paper. For example, a couple people sent me an email and said, my topic is leadership in the organization. Okay, what about it? What kind of problems do you see occurring with bad leadership? An autocratic leader, for example, a micromanager. Those kinds of things where leadership is not used to motivate and excite employees, but it's rather used to suppress and dictate to employees, those kinds of things. Or they prevent the organization from reaching goals because people don't know what they need to do, whatever it is you want to cover. But please focus on a problem relating to your topic. What I'm trying to get you to do is take the problem and resolve it, so that if you run into it in your own experience, you'll say, oh, you know what? I wrote about this in my paper. I understand now. This is what I need to do. So just a couple things on that. The other thing is I'm still getting assignments, match games that either are not done correctly, or with the assignments, you're not putting the references, the reference being the book, and your citations. The reference is not a citation. I know that in APA documents and training materials and whatever, you will see the word citations, and they will show you how to list references. It's a misnomer. A reference is not a citation, but what you are doing is indicating you're citing your reference, which is different than citing what you put in a paragraph. So I guess if you want to look at it that way, it's not as confusing. Who are the authors of the book? All together now. Robbins and Judge, comma, ampersand for and, when you're putting it at the end of a sentence. If you're including it in a sentence, Robbins and A-N-D, Judge, comma, not period. The year, which I'm just using 2017 as an example, comma, P, period, the number. Now, remember I said you can also split out the page number, put it at the end of what you're citing to separate your work from your citation, okay? That's acceptable. If you have multiple pages, put PP, period, and the page range, okay? Some people are putting the reference as the citation, and what they're doing is they're putting it underneath the answer to each question. That is incorrect. I will take more points for that than if you don't include citations, because that's just crazy. We're in week 7, and you should know by now how to do a citation. I also have the completed document out there. Please review it. This was done by one of your peers. It was completed by a student, so that you know exactly how to integrate the things that I'm asking you to integrate into the paper. How to write it, the flow, the outline, the content. And I've said before, it's not an A paper, so don't misunderstand that. There are some mistakes in it, but the general flow, the outline, to let you see how the headings are placed, where they're placed, those are all correct pretty much. The references at the end of the paper are there. So please use this as your model, as your prototype, so to speak, to say, okay, this is how I have to put the paper together. Okay, we got that done. I got one request from a student. Well, actually, I got it from the university for a student who wants to drop the class. Please don't drop the class. There's no reason to drop the class. Nobody is failing the class unless you're just not turning in any work. So please, email me first and say, I'm struggling. I can't get done. What can I do? But to not contact me and then request I'm not going to let you withdraw. We got to talk. So I don't want to lose, I'm like a doctor. I don't want to lose a patient. I don't want to lose a student either. Because the way I address the class, the way I approach the class, the way I conduct the class, the way I've set up the class is for your success. And we'll work together to do this. So please, do not drop the class. The only way I would tell you to drop is, like I said, if you haven't done anything yet. If you haven't turned in any work yet, we're halfway through the semester. I guarantee you're going to fail. But if you've turned in work and you had a couple issues with some assignments, contact me. So we will work it out, okay? All right, that being said, the other thing is, and this is for online or face-to-face, so I'm making one video to give to both of you. You'll notice on your match games, I am telling you to review the recording for the correct answers. That is the echo recording within which we go through and we give the correct answers. We review the assignment in class. That's what I'm referring to. So please review the echo recordings if you can't come to the face-to-face. And if you're online, please review them as well. It's really going to help you to get through the material and have a better understanding for the exam. One other thing I want to mention, I'm going to mention it again probably next week. Please do not, when we get our second midterm, upload it at the last minute. If you have any issues, if something goes wrong, whatever the case is, I am not going to give a reprieve because you know better than to do it at the last minute. This is for the online folks. Those of you that are face-to-face, if you can't get to the class to take the test, you have to contact me ahead of time, and we will work something out. You will also then have to take it in Respondus, just so you know. I made the mistake one semester of emailing exams to people, and it was a cluster. It was ridiculous. I will not do that again. So please make sure that you keep in touch with me. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know about any issues, and I will work with you. Okay, again, I'm here for you. This is my job, to make sure that you succeed and you learn everything you need to know about organizational behavior. Okay? All right, let's look at communication. Some students send me emails and said, I'd like to write about communication in the organization. Again, what about it? What if there's a lack of communication? What if all the communication in the organization is so centralized that it always comes from the top down, and that middle management has no say in how anything is communicated? Those kinds of things. Are employees empowered? Are they not empowered? Do they not know until the last minute what's going on? You could talk about communication in a team. If there is a lack of cohesiveness, could it affect communication? So there's all kinds of things that you can bring into play. Look at your own experiences. You'd be amazed at the things that you've run into that you're not even aware of until you start reading the chapters. Okay? All right, so we're going to look at the functions of communication. This is on 345. And again, I'm looking at it from the 17th edition. The communication process, there are formal and informal channels. There's upward and downward communication. Lateral communication, which is straight across from people that are at the same level in the organization. There's always the grapevine. That's always fun, right? Dealing with gossip and rumors, we're going to talk about that. The modes of communication. One key way we communicate is through oral communication, so verbal, face-to-face or on the phone, but we're talking to each other. We also have meetings. It's another way. We have video conferencing and conference calling, and I'm doing this in a way to communicate with you what we're going to be covering in the book. We also have the telephone. And then we have written communication, so letters, emails, all those kinds of things. Maybe a PowerPoint. You email a document to someone for them to get the understanding of what it is you're trying to explain. You are using email, but you're also sending a document to clarify and to communicate what your thoughts are on a particular process, issue, concept, topic, etc. One thing that's nice in this chapter, and this is on page 354 and 355, when they talk about written communication, there's a gentleman named Whitmore, and this is on page 355, Some advice that he gives when writing emails, please read that. We'll talk about it when we do the lecture, but it's very important. Some really good things when sending emails. Don't forget, you're in the world of social media right now. Many of you, believe it or not, have forgotten how to spell some words. So when you put a B and the letter for before, everything is short, everything is succinct, everything is cut off. Then when you have to write formally in an organization, that's why it's a challenge. So please do what you can in your emails to not write as if you're writing a Twitter, sentence or statement. For one thing, you've got a lot less characters on Twitter, right? Okay, instant messaging, text messaging, or others. Social media websites on 356. Different apps like LinkedIn and Twitter. If you don't have a LinkedIn account, please get one. Go to LinkedIn, log in. People think it's a social media site like Facebook. Some people use it that way. But what you want to use it for is to network. You want to use it to get a job. You want to use it to see what's going on out there and to check out your own marketability. And that you can do through LinkedIn. If you've uploaded all your information, your resume, everything you've done, you'll see once you complete the profile, people will find you when they start to search for the things that you've indicated you can do. So it's really a two-way street. You're looking for employers, but employers are also looking for you. So LinkedIn is a really good site to use for that. Blogs are good too. Websites that have information, opinions about different things, you can use those for communication. And then there's nonverbal communication on 358. Think about body language. I'm not mad, really. I'm just fine. There's nothing wrong with me. Do you hear me? I'm okay. Would you leave me alone? My face, my facial expressions is telling you one thing, and my words are telling you something else. So your body language tends to speak before you even open your mouth. And you have to be aware of your facial expressions, body language, all those kinds of things. We're going to talk about those. The communication channel and the channel richness. Excuse me. We'll talk about that on page 359. Look on page 361. There are some percentages at the bottom of the page, and we'll talk about those during the lecture, about different percentages. These will possibly be on the second midterm exam. And this is where people agree or disagree with text messaging during meetings and in the boss's office and all those kinds of things. When is it rude, in other words, to text message? Persuasive conversation is on 364. Actually, it's part of 363, but it goes into 364, 365. And then barriers to effective communication. What stops us from being effective communicators? And we'll talk about that. There are cultural factors. Keep in mind that people come from different cultures. So they approach communication differently possibly than you do. In fact, it's a given fact. So you have to be aware of that when you're dealing with people in different cultures and how you communicate with them. And we'll talk about that. There's a cultural guide on page 370 that discusses this, how to communicate with people of different cultures within different cultural contexts. So that's something that you can review on 370. We'll be talking about that as well. Okay, I'm going to take off because that's 13 and a half minutes and some people have zoned me out already. Please don't do that. Everything I tell you is important. You know that. I'm here for you all. Let me know if you need anything, and I will talk to you all later. Thanks so much. See ya. Bye.